What's up, everyone? I'm back. I'm Dwayne with Growing Together Nursery, and a lot of y'all have been asking, hey man, you got a ghost grafter or something? Because I never see you graft. But rest assured that I do all of the grafting here. All right. And today, what we're doing is we're making some cocktail mulberry trees. Probably 3-in-1, 2-in-1, depending on where we're at. Some I've already done before, and I may just add another one on there, but we'll find out how much time we have. Let me see what we can go through. What we do have as rootstock is dwarf ever-bearing mulberries, and these are very easy to grow, to go ahead and get ready for rootstock as well. They root up very easily, but I also purchase as well. But anyways, I'm going to do two different types of grafts today. More than likely, I'll do the cleft and I'll do the veneer, the side graft. And today, different varieties besides the dwarf everbearing is we got some Thai dwarf rootstock. Hopefully y'all can see that. I'll zoom you guys in here in a little bit. But Thai dwarf, we got Shangri-La, which is the larger leaf, larger fruit. Excellent variety. Doesn't put on as much as the Thai dwarf, but it's still a very sweet fruit. I think it's sweeter than Thai dwarf. And then we got, oh wait, we do have one world's best. I don't have much of this, but I do have one that I'm going to go ahead and graft onto something, and some white mulberries. The white isn't the most desirable in my opinion. There are people that like it, but to me, one, it's not all the way white, and it's not a white thing, folks. Take it easy. It's not that productive for us, and honestly, their berries are kind of small, but still, I will go ahead and put a few on just in case someone wants them. And people are hitting me up wanting more. I have sold some of these already, and so far so good. So what else? What are our tools today? So let me see if y'all can see everything there. All right, we'll zoom in just a hair. Y'all don't need to see me, but yes, it is me, dang it. I don't have anyone else stepping in and doing all this. So buddy tape, grafting blade, beveled. All right, beveled blade, so it only sharpened on one side. And also keep this thing sharp. You're only as good as your tools. I went a long time without, actually, I'm going to leave that open. I went a long time without sharpening it and paid the price. I made some really bad grafts the other day, and makes you start all over again. But that's how you learn, folks. Anyways, and 70% alcohol here. You can use peroxide as well to go ahead and sanitize, because that's very important out here, is keeping everything nice and clean. I mean, mulberries are fairly easy to graft. It's a very easy tree to start with because they grow up so fast as well that those mistakes, you just let them grow out again. They heal and you get a second shot at redemption. So also the pruners as well. Make sure that you sanitize all of your tools. And it's been a while since I made a grafting video. I think I made, the last one was that mango one. If you haven't seen that yet, I did make one as well, but figured why not. Let me go ahead and hopefully you guys can hear me. There is some wind and rain rolling in, but let's see. All right. If I have to cut it short, it's so be it, but I'll show you what we can. I don't want anything blowing around. And so what we'll do is, and some of these are already wrapped, or most of these are already wrapped in the buddy tape. I didn't want to go ahead and bore you with doing that, but I like to go ahead and wrap them before and make sure that you use the least amount of tape on there. What I've noticed for mulberries is because the diameter is very thin, a little bit goes a long way, and what will end up happening is it'll just choke it out and it'll just become flimsy and break off. I'm going to start with the Shangri-La, and there's many different ways to do this. All right, you can go ahead and kind of freestyle on your own, depending on how you like to do it. If you just want to do all clefts, put it on there, so be it. But what I'm going to do is, I'll do more than likely a veneer on this side. I'll do another one here, and I could do a cleft on this one right here. More than likely, these smaller ones I'll chop off, But for now, I'm going to hang on to them. They're not in the way. They're flexible, and those can be future plants for something else. But I'm looking at it. There are buds in here, and it's not proper time. The buds are a little bit swollen. They're going to explode through the tape first. But you got the time. Make it happen. This is how we learn, folks. I am no professional when it comes down to mulberries, but I have been successful a few times. So, hey, if it happened once, you can do it again, right? Keep trying. And sometimes I'll go ahead, instead of putting that bud towards it, I will go ahead and lay it. I will cut this side here. Let me see if y'all can see that. All right. So first things first, I will always cut into the rootstock here. And for the veneer, you're cutting down, giving it a little bit of wiggle, and you don't want to go through. Be careful. If your blade is sharp, you will go right through, and there goes that whole entire piece. And I'll zoom you guys in, but so what did I do there? All right, made a nice little slit in there with that bottom flap. And I've shown you guys this one before, but we're gonna do it again. So that way you can see that it has a little flap there, but I exposed the cambium. You don't go too deep into it. So same deal here. Make sure you line it up, find out how long you need it. Try to cut with the least amount of cuts possible. Mulberry is a little bit different. It does have like, let me show y'all. Can zoom in. It has that inside piece in there, you know what I mean? I'm sure there's a name for it. I know y'all know it. We don't call it the white meat. Y'all see that, right? And sometimes it's thicker than others. Do you want to leave it? Should it be out? Here we go. This is how we learn. But try to go ahead and make that real thin. One cut along the back side because you want that tail to go ahead and fuse to it. I know, get a couple there, right? But looks pretty sharp. Make it nice and uniformed. And then see how that has that little edge there? What I'll do is I'll clean that up. All right, hopefully y'all can see that, but one side, other side. All right. And then when you come down here, you only have to line up one side of the scion. Whichever eye dominant you are is more than likely the side that you're always going to line them up on. But that's just me. Push it together, make sure there's no light going through it, and give her a wrap up. And the first thing I'll do is take a little piece. This one's not perforated, but I'll take a small piece just to hold it together. Make sure that it's lined up nice. And I know, show us. So here we go. So I'm hanging on to, sorry, I can't explain with that in my mouth. Well, so basically have it there, and I'm going to cinch that together with that buddy tape right there. Pinch it real tight. Make that a nice little graft there. All right. You don't want to move it around too much. Obviously, I'm just picking it up for demonstration purposes, but make sure it's lined up again. Start from the bottom and work my way up to the top here. And this one's just to seal it up, or keep it kind of in place there. And then what I'll do is I'll drop this green tape on top, this marking tape. Been using that as well lately, and it's so far so good on some of them. Sometimes I'll mix it up. I'll toss in a couple zip ties just to sure it up. And then others, I'll go ahead and just use that one to experiment, because zip ties aren't always going to be here. I'm trying to, they are cheap, but they are more waste as well. Both of them are waste, but this is far cheaper than having to buy a bunch of zip ties. So trying not to rely solely on those. Certain grafts, you will see, you're like, dang, that's not enough pressure. So you will have to go in there and tighten it up. But for the most part, depending on the diameter of what you're working with, you can get away with just using some marking tape. My opinion only, hey, what's it worth, right? So just for that one piece on there, kind of what she looks like. And I'm trying to make my scions a little bit smaller before I'd add on another inch, but it's a lot of energy having to go up all the way up to the top. So what will more than likely happen on some of these is the top will go ahead and break off, rot away, and then this right here will take. So really doesn't matter as long as 1 inch or 1 bit of it takes. I don't care if it all dies and just down here takes off. So keep an eye on your graft and make sure that you're watching the new growth. But so on the very top here, I still want to go ahead and come in with the, I guess the name is the boat, but I don't know. Piece up on top here, fold it. That way, go ahead and keep the water out of it. Hardest part is actually opening this up and making sure that both sides, oh, we got some rain coming in, folks. Making sure that both sides get wrapped with this tape. That's going to be, I would say, your biggest struggle is keeping this thing dry and out of direct sunlight. That's why most of them fail. I would assume that most of mine fail because of that. And I do it to myself. I'll spray with the hose over the top, knowing that there's graft there, but I'm like, no, it'll hold. But then, come on, man. You know, you do all the hard work and one little drop gets in there and it just rots it. Is that the reason? I mean, I can't put my money on it, but I know that watering from the top on this is a no-go. You do just want to water the pot, at least until it really takes off. See, that way, once you do water, it should repel, you know, from the sides. But again, water will get in anywhere it wants to. So again, I'm guilty. I lose stuff that way, but we'll got to tighten up this next year. So that's Shangri-La. Next thing you got to do is label it, man. All right. You will totally forget. I do it all the time. I use this little grease pen here, a grease pencil. Write today's date on there as well. Today's the 4th of November. So this one should be ready in a couple of months. Let's see. That's that. There's one there. Let them know on the left, Shangri-La on the 8th. That way you know how long it's been. People want to see the born on date. Come on. So, Shangri-La there. And I think we can do either the white on this one. It's thinner diameter here. Hopefully y'all can still see me here. All right. Thinking we can do a smaller diameter, just like a cleft right here. And then I'll do the dwarf tie on this one over here. And we're just messing around, folks. You know, there's no rules to this. I could do the white on this side and the dwarf tie on this side, but really the dwarf tie or the white and the Shangri-La have some huge leaves on it. So I don't want them competing for that space. I'd rather put one on this side and let it grow out and then just have the dwarf tie up on top. Again, different ways to do it. I'm trying to keep the larger stuff down below though. And the dwarf tie is a lot lighter. It is a dwarf. Well, so therefore shouldn't be that much of a problem. But I'm going to go ahead and cut off down here for this next one. And before we do, give another quick little wipe. We'll get that sap on there and makes a little bit of a difference. Air dry it. Again, peroxide, you could use other stuff. Never mess around with any soaps or nothing like that. But to each his own, folks. As long as she works for you, keep at it. And the first couple of times, this may not be, you know, it may not take off on you, but keep trying and you will actually be successful. Oh. If you want it, of course. You know? Just like everything else. And again, I could sit there and chop this off, but I want to leave some of the everbearing on here as well so that I can shoot back out. But here we go with the white on there. And I'm gonna cut down here. And this, I'll save that, turn that into another one. That's why mulberries are easy. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and get this one out of my way. It's a small branch, not really necessary. And that's what we got there. So it's a smaller one. I will just cleft this one. You don't want to go down the middle, but on this one, it's so tiny that may not have a choice. Kind of rock it, because if you try to put any sort of strength on there, it's just going to slide through. So more of a finesse game. And I got two options. I got this longer one or this shorter one. I'm liking this diameter for this one though. So what I'll do is, I don't need it that long. I'll probably just take these two segments here, cut from here. Because it kind of has this bend up, you know, if I were to go ahead and put it down, it's going to grow out and low. Instead, you know, you go ahead and shape it with the tree how you want it there. Make sure that it faces the same way. So right here, hopefully y'all can see that. Start here, come all the way through. Oh, you know, let's see, come around. Probably should have been doing it this way the longest time, but right that side and that side. And see how it's sharp there? I'll go ahead and cut down that little bit there. So far, all right. And again, it's too sharp. Want it flat on the bottom there. And that's still a little bit fat on one side. I'll bring in this side just a little bit here. I was going behind the phone and that's not natural. Let's go. It's just on this one side here. When you whittle sticks, you go away from you. When you graft, you cut towards you. I know it's a weird concept. Be careful cutting yourself. You know, it can happen. It does happen, but take your time and practice. All right. So that looks a little bit better. And again, line up one side, which both sides actually look pretty good on this one. Pinch it together, make sure there's no air in there. And that's got a little scar right there. You can probably fix that in just by pushing it in just a hair. Right there. And this one I'll rock that way to the top again, to the left side there. And give it a little bit of tape. Just a small piece. It's a small diameter here, so it's not, you don't need too much of this. And I'll show you what I do over the top just to keep it snug. Yeah, and once you do it your way, then you can go ahead and add, subtract, but you don't have to do it my way either. There's 1,000 ways to do it, y'all. But I don't want to wrap this bud too much because it could be the only one that pops on there. So less is best on there. As long as it's wrapped once, that's more than enough. So that's the white on this side. Again, make sure you label it, because if not, that's probably why I'm making this video, so that way later on, it's evidence, right? What it is that I did. White. And the date. There's number 2. All right. You want to do one more? We'll do one more on here. And I got a couple to choose from. So what I'll do is, this is going to grow out this way. It's got a good lean. Probably pop it this way right here. Take this little branch out. Or I could drop it down to there and then grow out that way. Many different options, but I'm wanting to go ahead and bring it back. I don't know. Again, and that's just with that scion. You got many different ways to go about it. Shut up and graft it. I know. All right, here we go. Let's pick this one here. And again, we'll go lower right there. All right. First things first. And that's why this bevel blade is so important. See right there. And they're talking and running my mouth. Is that you don't want it cutting through. You want it to kind of ride that edge there. Cut off the top. And I still have that flap available right there. It's just very thin, but it still will be able to keep. All right. Still going to keep the bottom of that scion attached to it. So should work. No edits, folks. We do it one time only. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, well, you saw me fail. Oh well. We move on. That was probably a little bit deeper than what I wanted, but it's all right. Come back here. Let me see if y'all can see that. All right. You don't need too much on this back flap, really, you know, just a small portion there. But this side here, I like to really get it a little bit longer. Something like that. And see, do you want more of that white meat in there? You know, don't know. That should be pretty good there. Y'all can see that. Nope, probably not. Let me bring y'all around this way here. Dang. We'll zoom in here. And do something like that. All right. So it is about the same size right here. All right. So at this point, again, I will hug this left side. I think that's why I wanted you there. So now my hand's going to cover up everything here. And this bottom piece is a little bit jagged there, so it's not allowing it to go all the way in. So you just cut off the bottom there. Got to sit flush, or you want it to, most as possible. Peel up the buddy tape to make sure that it's not sitting inside there, and making sure that the contact is right. Then give it a good squeeze, make sure there's no light coming through, and you're set. You may have to do this a couple times. You may have to cut the top. You may have to settle for a cleft on top, folks. This is just part of trial and error and doing it a couple times. The smaller the diameter, the harder it is. Obviously, you want to maybe start with like pencil thick. I think mangoes are pretty easy as well. My success rate on those are a little bit better just because they are thicker. So your margin for error is a little bit better. But mulberries kick off too. And you're going to have failures on both. I do. I still do. But that's part of it. You're not always going to hack Mother Nature successfully. Sometimes they go, sometimes they don't. And it's variety based as well. The white ones are tough. I haven't had much success with the white ones, but I figured I had a few pieces on there. And I'm looking at the top here, and that's kind of open right there. So, oh, dang, that's horrible. Dang, this whole time. I'm sorry, folks. Like, what are you looking at? So, right here on the very top, that's open. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover that. Dang, I thought we were showing you something there. My apologies, folks. Hang with me. Hang with me. Terrible, I know. So I'll just do like a small little portion on the very top there. On the very top, just to cover that. And again, because it is a veneer, you want to go ahead and get a piece down the middle there. The water just drips right below there. There goes the whole graft. Okay. Hopefully y'all are seeing this when you're like, dang it, all this time. Focus, zoom in. It's just me and a tripod, folks. I apologize. We only get better, right? We are growing together, folks. All right, so then you open it up. Pull it around. Same thing with this side now. Now you have way more, so can't open it up. Seal it down there as well. So that's very easy to work with. Definitely recommend it. Save me some. Don't buy it all, dang it. I do have to buy more because this stuff is necessary in this field. Anyway, so that's 3 of them there. Again, top is the dwarf, so you cannot forget to label it. You know, make sure that everything's on there. It does look good. People like to see it. Whoop, you're way down here. Sorry. Yeah, so top is dwarf tie. And the date. Boom. So to shore them up, this one's very stretchy. I like this one. All right, so just a little piece. And look at that stretch on there. Now, I don't want a ton of plastic. I hate the idea of throwing this away as well. But I don't know what's worse, this or zip ties. So this right here, you just kind of wrap around it, and it doesn't have to, you're not choking the life out of it. This will girdle it as well. You kind of want a little bit, I'm sure a rubber band would be, you know, ideal. That's why they graft with them. But I don't want to have to carry a bunch of bands and then they rot off. And I don't know. To me, I haven't messed with the bands. I know people do. That is kind of the tried and true way, but I've always done zip ties and now I've been messing around with this. You just have to make sure you take this off, because if not, it will stunt, you know, it'll girdle it. I've seen it. But you just watch them. If you're watching your stuff, watching your grafts afterwards, see the updates, and you'll know what time it is to go ahead and take it off. Not necessary either. You can probably just get away with just the buddy tape, but you have to use probably another piece on there. In order for me to conserve, why not try this, right? That's the whole idea. But again, just a little bit in there. It doesn't have to be super tight. It's just to be able to keep it snug and making sure that it's contact in there. So there's that one there. For this cleft, I'll more than likely just leave that. That's not a big deal. But this one up here, you want to make sure that it's putting pressure on that flap down there. Yeah, you like the little pencil, right? Every last bit. Use what you got. And this wind is gnarly, folks. I don't know if y'all can see that. Yeah, and the lab's dirty over here. D-Wayne's Chop Shop. Bring them in. Chop them up over here. Just want to go ahead and help you guys get more varieties for less space. I think it's a easy concept. I know that most nurseries don't want this, but hey, if we can go ahead and get some people excited about growing this stuff, I think that's the idea. I got customers already waiting for these trees. Well, not for these. I got some more that are cooking back there, but they're digging them, so why not make more? Different varieties, and as I get more varieties, then I can add more, so you can kind of customize your own. So you just to put a little bit of pressure on there. And that's it. That's that. Oh, you got to make sure. How do we do this? All right. Make sure that you trim the top. See all this new growth up here? You can pinch it off. But I will actually go ahead and cut it just so that way it stimulates new growth. You don't want anything coming out the top for a while until all of these take off. Can trim that one just because it'll be there, but I'll probably end up just letting it grow. But that's it. That's first one of many here that I got to go ahead and do. I wanted to show you guys how easy that is. Well, I make it look, I hate to say it that way, but after a while you do get a little bit better. I'm not being cocky, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying that's, you get a little bit better as you go, just like anything else. Sure, y'all type really fast, but no, I know not all of y'all are in there. But here you go, folks. All right, there's 4 varieties on that one tree, and once it gets going, go ahead and see what you'll go for. Tune in. We will be getting some more stuff here shortly, but there's always more. All right, y'all have yourselves a great week. All right, till next time. Later.